I know. Are we ready? Huh? Welcome. 602. No, Gretchen's right here. We're ready to go.
Around the room to see all the people I got to follow. Is Tammy here too? Tammy? No.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight, I will call to order this open session of our board meeting on Monday, July 27, 2026 at 6:05 p.m. And we are so excited to have you joining us. It's a special day. We have some guests as well as our first official board meeting with our new superintendent, Dr. Gretchen Janson. So I know we're going to hear a lot from you, but just so exciting to be here. I'm excited and anxious a little bit about tonight. So thank you for being here. We are so excited to have you with us. And I'm Ruthie Hanchett, the president of the Fullerton Elementary School Board, and we're grateful to have all of you with us here today. So for our first act of tonight, we will be introducing Dr. Stephen Bead, who is here from our Orange County Department of Ed, our superintendent who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So thank you for joining us, and we will direct our attention to you.
All right. Please stand if you're able. Face the flag. Please put the right hand over your heart. Ready to begin.
Thank you so much. We will start off then with our superintendent's report and hear from Dr. Janson. Oh, excuse me. See, I told you. We will, before that, do recognitions. We are going to be recognizing the gifts from the Orange County Department of Education, and we will welcome Dr. Bean and maybe a few others of his guests to join us. Jeremy Davis will help us introduce this topic.
All right. Thank you, trustees, and thank you, Dr. Janson. We are so excited to welcome the Orange County Department of Education leadership here tonight. Very quick history on the tiny home, and so many folks here in the audience that we need to say thank you to who have made the tiny home possible. So this is, we're going into our fourth year, and we just finished our third build. We're going to move it on Friday, but then we had a little snafu, and we're going to move it next week instead. But we'll have 3 families this year being housed in our homes. So I do want to recognize a whole bunch of people in this room real quick. So if you could stand, these are either people who helped us write the grant, people who are like the teacher, okay, that's really important, people that helped brainstorm the whole thing, or folks that helped lay the groundwork and the actual utilities to make sure the home would function, or that helped us move the home. So I'm going to scan the room as I go this way. You can just stand and stay standing for a moment. Pablo Diaz, could you please stand? We've got Eddie in the back over there. We've got Jose Varela, please stand. Jenny Saul. We've got, who am I missing? I'm going around here. Esther Kim. Juan Fonseca, Rosanna Fonseca, not related. and and our teacher, Musio Vidalis, please. So, am I missing? No, I think I'm okay. So this takes a village. I mean, in such a huge way, it takes a village. And there are so many people so deeply involved in this project. But when we heard there was a grant, we said, ooh, I think we could make this program even better. And I think this is the kind of thing that the county might be interested in with their 3-2-1 plan. It matched up on a lot of those lines. And I know when Dr. Bean had visited the campus, he had seen, so I said, oh, this is a really cool project. So I'm like, ooh, okay, if he thinks it's cool, we might have another shot. So we should do this thing. So we had a great grant writing team who just did a ton of work, put it together and made sure it was ready to go. And then I want to introduce Dr. Stephen Bean to please come up, as he was the one who awarded the grant.
Jeremy, thank you. Thank you. Well, maybe I'll stand over here so we can see everybody. So, well, first of all, good evening, President Hanchett. Appreciate you inviting OCD here, members of the board, and Superintendent Janson. Congratulations, by the way. Also want to recognize our educators. If you're an educator, please stand up. Yes, our teachers. Yes, educators. Excellent. Students. I see some students here. Families and community partners. You know, it is a pleasure to be here tonight to recognize the Fullerton School District as one of the first 6 districts selected for OCDE's what we call Innovation Funding Initiative. Big congratulations to all of you. Yes, let's give a big round of applause to that. You know, more importantly, though, this recognition reflects the outstanding work that already is happening across your district and your commitment to creating meaningful opportunities for students. You know, what stood out most for us about Fullerton's proposal is that it transforms career technical education into community impact. Through the Construction Academy Tiny Home Project, we got to work on that name, by the way, it's the tongue twister. I'm just kidding. Middle school students are learning construction, they're learning about leadership, teamwork, and project management while building code-compliant tiny homes. And they're doing it for families experiencing homelessness. That's the power of authentic learning. Students gain real-world experience while making a real difference in the lives of others. At OCDE, as mentioned before, one of our priorities in the 531 is expanding innovative career pathways that prepare students for success while strengthening our communities. And so this project brings that vision to life. But the credit belongs to the educators, staff, district leaders, and of course the Board of Education for an amazing application. And so with that, I have a very special gift that we would love to bring up. Diane, could you bring that up? And I would love President Hanchett and of course Superintendent to come on up so you can receive this amazing award. Please don't spend it all at once. Yes, it's 3 years. And yeah, we're going to take a picture, so I'll come this way. Okay. There we go.
Right over here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Bring that same energy.
2, 3. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, one more, thank you. Eddie, did I have you stand?
Yes.
I feel so bad. Okay, Eddie is the head of our Director of Maintenance and Operations. I'll tell you how much Sorry, Eddie. Okay, now I'm on YouTube also. So Eddie, thank you, because Maintenance Operations has done not only incredible work helping our kids and coming out and helping to teach some of these skills, but the in-between times when someone moves out, they have to come in and refurbish because, sometimes they're not left in the best condition. M&O comes in and really takes care of it over the summer to make sure we're ready for that next family. So Eddie, I apologize. I'm like looking around, I'm like, oh, I don't think I had Eddie stand. He didn't want to stand most likely, but I wanted to say thank you anyway. So Eddie, thank you for your work on this too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we can move on to some of our reports. So we'll hear from our new superintendent first, and then information from our trustees.
Thank you so much, President Hanchen. I hope I'm speaking into this properly. But good evening, everyone. It's so great to see so many people here today in support of the great work that we're doing here in Fullerton. I first want to express just some appreciation to this Board of Trustees for their leadership, their guidance in my first couple of weeks as I'm settling in and getting to know everyone. And then so many faces out there, thank you to all of you for the work that you've been doing, for taking the time to stop and introduce yourself to me, to listen to some of my questions and to have meetings with me. I just couldn't appreciate the people that I've been able to connect with more. Fullerton was great on paper, but you're even better in person. So it's great to work with you. And so if we just go to the next slide, I have a couple of photos to share. And if you don't follow us on social media, please do, because you would have had this chance to see these already. So I want to give thanks to Eddie again in the back. He's the man of the meeting. He very willingly and with a smile on his face drove me around to all 20 of our school sites. In addition, we visited our central kitchen, and at those sites, I had the great opportunity to meet some of our students, which was great. There are some of our students at Raymond enjoying their wonderful breakfast that they were very complimentary of, so shout out to our nutrition services team, as well as staff from our central kitchen. And then the bottom photo shows a new shade structure that just went up at Commonwealth, and we had the opportunity to chat with the principal and the office manager there, and Eddie made the photo too. So it's just been so fantastic to get out to schools, and as I continue my 100-day plan, which is on the next slide, I hope everyone gets a chance to take a look at it, and you'll see that really this first 100 days is so much about listening and learning, listening to what people say they need here in Fullerton, learning about the culture, the traditions, and learning more about our students, our staff. And so I can't wait for school to start. The first day can't get here soon enough, where I will be spending time out at all the school sites to visit students, teachers, and staff in action. So I'm looking forward to that. And please take a look at that 100-day plan, and we'll have opportunities for feedback down the road as well. So thank you. And on our next slide, we just want to highlight some of the great work that's been going on over the summer. Some people think that schools are quiet during the summer, nothing's happening. Not in Fullerton. We had plenty going on. So a big shout out to our Encore team with Jason Chong at the helm. This year we were able to serve, when I heard this number, I couldn't believe it, over 1,800 students. And it wasn't a babysitting program. We were out there and we saw it. There was robust learning. There were activities. They were playing hockey. Just kudos. That doesn't happen by accident. Programs like that take a lot of behind-the-scenes work. And how wonderful for our students to have this opportunity and our families to be able to have a safe place for their kids to go, to get great meals, and to engage in great activities over the summer. So kudos to the Encore team. And the next slide highlights we also had our traditional extended school year program, also known as ESY, where they served over 145 participants. I also got the great joy of visiting some of these classrooms to see our dedicated educators there providing students the supports that they needed and giving them some engaging opportunities for the summer. So kudos to the student services team and the special education team for all of their work too, and the staff that supported the students over the summer. So and on the next slide, this is just information to share to let everyone know that we are continuing our free summer meal programs. So we did serve between June 1st and July 17th when all of those Encore students and ESY students were here in our programs. We served over 49,000 meals. Yes, that's not a typo, not an extra zero, 49,000 meals. So kudos to Victor. We're not going to make him stand up, but we'll clap for him. and his team, right? What amazing work that was. And so just wanted to make sure that the community knows we continue to serve meals at Nicholas Junior High through the community feeding program. And that's offered through August 5th, Monday through Thursday, and they can be there at between 12:30 and 1 o'clock. So please recognize that and have the community come out if possible. And the next slide. This is another amazing event that took place. So just last week, we had a Feed the Children resource rally that was organized by Feed the Children, also supported by the Orange County United Way and Niagara Cares. We served boxes of food and supplies to over 4,000 families. And if you were here, you saw the big wrapped around cars, everyone here to participate. And thanks to some of our board members and certainly plenty of our staff members who were out there smiling, running, getting everybody checked in to get people the things that they need. So thank you very much. And what a proud moment this was. And our next slide is a save the date. So we do have more wonderful things happening here in Fullerton. On Wednesday, August 5th, between 4 and 6, we will have our Welcome Back to School Health Fair hosted at the Nicholas Community Center. And you can see the offers that we'll have there, different services available, free health screenings, vaccines, and school supplies and food, and plenty of Fullerton swag. So hopefully you can join us. I know we're all looking forward to being there. And I hear it's a great event. So next time we meet, fantastic photos from that event. And with that, next slide. One final reminder, who could forget this? It's my personal favorite day of the year. The first day of school is coming up on August the 10th. To me, there's nothing better than seeing kids with their new backpacks, their new shoes. The girls all have their hair braided perfectly. The boys with their perfect haircuts. You know, we just can't wait. So I know our cabinet and our staff will be out at school sites on that first day, providing support and providing warm welcomes to all of our students and our staff as they return for the most wonderful day of the year, the first day of school. And I think with that, that closes my report. So I'll turn it over back to President Hanchett.
Thank you. Good job on your first report. I'm going to start on this end. Trustee Alvarez, would you like to start us off, please?
Right. Good evening. My report will be short and brief, I promise. But over the past weekend, I was able to spend time with my two board colleagues, Vanessa Estrella and Ruthie Hanchett, for our Clerk Recorder on Wheels event, where families had the opportunity to apply for a passport. And critical services like this ensure that our families have access to receive important documents to travel, but ultimately to provide safety, especially for our families that are vulnerable. My grandfather actually was able to get a passport and renew after so many years. This Friday, Dr. Janson and myself will be headed to Fullerton Joint Union High School District to discuss our collaboration and the vision of having a seamless transition from our K-8 district to high school. The dream is to have a true P20 collaborative where we go from ad hoc programming to intentional strategies that will allow us to compete for grant opportunities, braid funds across our districts, and including our higher education partners, because we are doing so much work around CTE, and it's important that as our students are graduating from our Fullerton School District that they have those opportunities and know what to do at the high school level. It is good for our students, but it's also good for the taxpayer to ensure that we are expanding programming and opportunities and being good stewards of public funds. I also want to wish Dr. Rob, our Assistant Superintendent, a happy birthday. Today he is enjoying the day off. See, we do believe in work-life balance in our district. That is a perk if you want to come work for the Fullerton School District. Thank you, Dr. Rob, for what you do. And I sleep better at night knowing that we are in good hands financially with your team who is present here today. I also want to acknowledge publicly that I am proud to have earned the endorsement of FETA, our Fullerton Elementary Teachers Association, for my campaign. In case you didn't all know, Ruthie and I are running, Trustee Hanchett and I are running for re-election. And so I am very honored to have received this endorsement, and I want to thank FETA for entrusting in me to continue the work I have been doing on this board. As an educator and dean of career education, I know what's possible of a high quality education, having graduated from this school district. And I want to continue to do that work in leading that transformational change for all of our students here in Fullerton. So I will be here to represent Area 1, and I'm glad to officially on the ballot for this upcoming election. That's all.
Thank you, Miguel. Vanessa?
Good evening, everyone. So as we prepare to welcome students back for a new school year, 26-27, that summer just went way too fast. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to our new superintendent, Dr. Gretchen Janson, who officially began her role on July 1st. And as you saw in her presentation, in just a few short weeks, she has hit the ground running, taking time to get to know our district by meeting with staff, administrators, trustees, us, and most importantly, our students. She has been visiting our school summer programs, attending district events, and listening to those who make up for the Fullerton School District family, which is the majority of us in this room. I want to commend Dr. Janson for the energy, a lot of energy, dedication, and genuine commitment she has shown already in just not even a month. And I look forward to working together with you. I also want to thank our teachers, classified staff, administrators, maintenance and operations teams, custodial staff, and everyone who has been working throughout the summer to prepare our classrooms for this upcoming school year. So much happens behind the scenes before the very first day of school, and I really, truly appreciate the dedication that goes into making sure that we have everything ready for that very first, August 10th, first day of school for all of our students. I also want to thank every single person who helped make June 22nd the food distribution Feed the Children event such a success. These events are only possible because of the help of everyone that participates and donates and volunteers their time. But I especially want to recognize Juan Fonseca, Christian Alvarez, our SSA, and Eddie Carvajal, again, your name for the third time. You're just everywhere, Eddie, for the tremendous work they did behind the scenes. I found out that day that they were there at 5 in the morning, unloading a full trailer and moving heavy pallets to make it easy for those of us who got there way later to be able to distribute all the food for all the families. And so, you know, sometimes this hard, physical, demanding work sometimes goes unnoticed because they are there way early in the morning to make sure that those of us that are there to volunteer and to help, you know, quote unquote, I say quote unquote, we did help, we did volunteer. But we weren't doing any of the heavy lifting, even though those boxes were heavy, that was not heavy lifting. So I really want to make sure that we thank them because it was because of their hard work. Muchas gracias, Juan. I mean, setting up canopies, I'm not even going and talking about all this stuff that I saw you running around doing that day. But it is because of your hard work that it made it so much easier for us to be able to help the community. Also, as we welcome students back for the new school year, I just want to remind our Fullerton School District community that our schools are safe. Welcoming places where every student deserves to be able to come to learn and thrive. We recognize that some families may continue to feel uncertainty and fear given today's times, but we want you to know that we value you and we see you and you are safe. Our district has just been working so much on creating policies and protections and resources, put all this in place at our district so that we can support our families. And I know the majority of the people in this room right now that I'm looking can attest and have been part of all the work and the hard work that has gone for our Fullerton School District. And I'm beyond proud to be a part of this district that looks for number one, and that is our children. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am done.
Bev, would you like to go next, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. First, I do want to welcome everybody back. For those of you that had maybe a week off, welcome back. It doesn't seem like the summer should be over, right? It should still be going. So, but thank you for everything that you guys have done. I'm very impressed with Dr. Janson, and welcome. I think that it's already been said that from the day that you started, even before you officially started, you were already getting to know our community. You were already getting to know what our culture is like. And I think that is one of the most important things you can start with. And so you've been doing such a great job with that. I have to also commend you. The presentation that she did, right? We don't have to say anything really. We could just say Dr. Janson said it all. But all the things that she said with our encore program, kudos to you guys for making that happen. I think that when we talk to people in the community and in outlining districts and we talk about our programming over the summer, everyone's in shock. It's like, what, I can send my child to school free? Free? And I think it really is hard for people to realize that we have a program that's not a babysitting program, that they can feel safe, their students can come and go to school and still be able to enjoy their summer, but also get, have that enrichment. So that doesn't go unnoticed, and we know how hard that is. And our community appreciates that, our families appreciate it. Food drives, I think you've already said it, great for our families. Again, as we talk about our tiny house and in collaboration with that, our food drive, we do so much, I think we try to do so much for our families that we try to make sure that they are getting everything that they need so our students can succeed, so that our families can thrive. I remember when we were first talking about the tiny house, I was still just amazed. We're going to do what? Build a house? You should, Dr. Bob said it, and Pablo, yeah, build a house, really? And so look what you guys have done. So congratulations on that. I think it's just remarkable. Fullerton does events really, really well, and I think that's probably something that you've now seen, and upcoming events that are coming up, from the resource fair to our professional development to our new teacher orientations, to our back to school welcome barbecue for our staff members. Those are things that I think that make Fullerton special, that make what we do to really let our community of staff and teachers and parents and students know that we truly, truly do care about them, right? And so I think that's evident in everything that this district does, and I'm so proud to be part of that. You already mentioned the lunches and breakfasts. It's amazing how many meals you guys have prepared over our summer months in just 2 months. What was it, 49,000 breakfasts and lunches? I mean, those are children that weren't going to be fed. And so I think that those are things to just, they're numbers, but they're really people, right? They're students, their lives that you guys have truly affected. So I really, truly appreciate that. And I think that's the end of my report. Welcome back.
So good evening, everyone. I know it's been mentioned a little bit, but I also want to offer my personal thanks and gratitude to the Encore team. If you're a parent around May, maybe if you're trying to prepare a little bit earlier in April, you're panicking because at the end of the school year, you're like, oh, well, what am I going to do with these kids over the summer? But knowing that Fullerton has an option where your kid is going to be safe, fed, transported, learn, familiar faces, that's invaluable, because even if you did want to pay to go to a different camp or go to a different program, you don't know what the quality of that program's like. You don't know who's going to be there. But in Fullerton, you can just stay home and know that you're going to be, your kid's going to be good to go. Good to go. And the sheer scope of that program is rivaling the sizes of other school districts. Like, I'm going to repeat that, right? Our summer program is the size of other entire school districts. And to pull that kind of logistical feed off, whether it's meals, to transportation, to the aids, that takes a lot of work. So thank you for keeping us safe, and thank you for keeping us fed, and thank you for keeping our kids healthy, learning, and thriving over the summer.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Jason. I feel like A lot of the things I was going to share, we have been shared, but I will just say one of the highlights for me, which has been shared already, but was really serving in the Encore program this summer. I volunteered with my two daughters. They are 13 and 15, so they were volunteers, and I was a volunteer. And I got to teach for a week the social emotional learning class at the Richmond Encore Soulful experience. It was wonderful. We talked about change and used the metaphor of the seasons and how change happens to all of us, whether we want it to or not, and how do we respond and deal with our emotions around that. And it was a great experience. It's my second year doing it. I love preparing. It's a lot of hard work. I love connecting with the kids and the staff, the volunteers who are part of that program who do this for free, a lot of teenagers and college students. It's incredible to see their passion because many of these kids have gone through the program themselves. They grew up in Richmond and come back to serve again during the summer, 3 weeks without pay. But our staff, including Miss Fabi, who leads it, they're just incredible. And so I love the opportunity to connect with our kids and our staff, but I really love the chance to feel what it feels like for our teachers and our instructional aides, and to have just a glimpse of the hard work that they put in every single day. It's a good experience for me to see what they go through. And it's just half a day and it's 1 week, but I really appreciate our teachers, our staff, our instructional aides that work with our kids every single day. Thank you for that, and I'm grateful for that opportunity I had this week to have a little piece of that. So, and I will say also, thank you for all of our classified staff, our instructional assistants, our maintenance facilities, all the people that are getting our iPads in our classrooms and our offices open today. You guys are doing incredible work in a very short period of time to get us ready for August 10th. So thank you. We appreciate you and we see it and it matters. So thank you so much. So with that, we will conclude that section and we'll listen to if we have any information from our associations. It's July, so I don't know that we'll have any reports, but do we, Anna, have any reports from our associations? Okay.
We have a report from FSMA, I'm sorry.
FSMA. Come on up, Mike.
Check, check, check. Board President Hatchett and board members, Dr. Janson and cabinet members, I'm Mike McAdam. I'm the Director of Business Support Services and Projects and also FSMA Board President. Management team has welcomes Dr. Janson, so welcome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day, visiting our departments and seeing some of the great work we're doing on all aspects from ed services to business services. We continue to look forward to move mountains with you and make Fullerton School, again, continue the greatest school district, not in Orange County, but California, and if not the U.S. So we're going to continue doing that. We've been busy over the summertime and are ready and excited to start the new school year and see every student smile and ready and learn and to grow. So thank you so much and looking forward to start it off. Let's go.
All right. Do we have anything further from any of our associations?
We don't.
Not at this point. Okay, then the next we will be doing our opportunity for public comment. I have one right now that's a non-agendized item, and then I have additional at least 4 items that we will get to when we come to the item on our agenda, which is regarding the Fissler Arc. But for our non-agendized item, I will read our rules of decorum, which we follow as a board, which say that per board bylaw 9323, individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board limits the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. The total time allowed for public comment shall be 30 minutes. Public comments about an item that is on the agenda will be heard at the time of the agenda item that is considered by the board. Public comments about an item that is not on the posted agenda will be heard at the beginning of open session when called upon by the board president. No action or discussion shall take place on any item that is not on the posted agenda. Such items will be referred to the superintendent for handling. Board members may request that any item be placed on future agenda for further discussion. The board president and the superintendent will then determine the best time and place for an item on the agenda. So persons wishing to address the board are invited to complete and submit a request to speak slip and turn it into our executive assistant. The slips are available under the big yellow sign at the back of the room. So at this point, I have one non-agendized item, and that is for Rudy Kraus. So I'll invite Rudy to the podium. And if anyone else would like to add comments, they have time to still complete a slip.
Hi, my name's Rudy Kraus. Let me relate this to education immediately. So you can't say, how is that appropriate or how does it relate? These are your own words. Multiculturalism is our greatest strength. Yes or no? Is that true? Of course it's true. You have it on your own paperwork. All your teachers teach it. Diversity is our greatest strength. Do you agree? Of course you agree. All your teachers teach it. These are fallacies. These are lies. Multiculturalism without assimilation is our greatest weakness. You have to correct your statement. You can't make that statement, multiculturalism is our greatest strength, without clarifying it. Because as is, it's like a tool of the Muslims to counteract any Muslim opposition. Well, multiculturalism is our greatest strength. You can't say anything. That's racism. That's Islamophobia. But you're pedophiles. It's in your Quran. Do you think that multiculturalism is our greatest strength with people that are pedophiles? Do you think that multiculturalism is our greatest strength with people that marry children? That's what's happening in all of Europe. It's a failed experiment. These are the #1 videos all over the internet about the Muslims raping, knifing, murdering, beheading. We're talking an increase of 800%. Yet you say multiculturalism is our greatest strength. This is our greatest strength. The flag of the United States. This is our culture. Islam is not our culture. They do not assimilate. They are not, your statement is not applicable to Muslims. Is there a problem with Mexicans? No, they assimilate. They're just like us. Vietnamese? No, they assimilate. They're just like us. Koreans, they assimilate. Chinese, they assimilate. Muslims create parallel communities. Look what they did in Michigan. Did you see all the fraud? If you count all the Somali fraud in Michigan and then in California, Minnesota, Texas.
Okay, we will move on
Thank you.
to our next agenda item is going to be on approving our board minutes from our past meeting. Yeah, so we will do that now. So our regular meeting was held last at June 22nd, 2026, and I'm looking for a nomination to approve the board minutes.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved in second. And all those in favor of accepting the board minutes?
Aye.
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 Great. Okay. Next, we're going to be looking at our agenda for tonight. Do we have anything, concerns, questions, or reasons to change anything at this moment?
Because of some of the commenters, should we move the Fissler item up? Save some time.
Yeah, open to that.
Yeah.
See, right now, it's item after our presentation.
It's 10B.
Okay.
Right now, it's 10B in discussion.
On discussion items.
So you move 10B before consent?
Before even the presentations, if we could, just to knock it out.
I'm open to that.
Yeah, you okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we'll second that. Okay, so we'll simply make that our, before presentations, it'll be discussion item 10B. And then we'll continue with the regular agenda after that. Okay,
I move to approve the did we make a motion? I move to approve the agenda with the change for 10 to go before the consent items, or
Before
the presentation.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay. I'm going to go with James is seconding. And so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes. Great. So we will then, I guess we're there then. We'll move on. Let me get my notes, make sure I'm prepared for this too. Okay. So we're going to move to item 10B, which
Who's making the presentation then? Are they here?
because we had a presentation last time,
Okay.
we're not going to be hearing from our staff unless there's need for clarification. But instead, what we will do is move to public comment before then we have a discussion as a board. So just making sure I got everything. Okay. So this item, we're moving ahead to 10B, part of our discussion, for the approval of architectural services for PJHM Architects for the construction of an arts and recreation center at Fissler School. So I'm going to read the names of the public comments. I want to make sure everybody's here. I just realized I should have double checked that before we moved it. But I have in this order, first Brian Kim, then Ian Kim, and then Donna Kim, and then Elgin's Kim, excuse me. Yes. So that will be our order. So we will start. And again, you all heard you have 3 minutes. So you'll walk up to the podium and you can share. There might even be a footstool if we need it. And we can adjust the microphone to whatever feels comfortable. But you will be able to share for 3 minutes. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so this is Brian Kim. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Brian, and wait, can I hold this?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Brian, and I'm a 6th grader at Fissler. I'm a basketball player, and this year I plan to try out for the Fissler basketball team. But I worry sometimes about practicing out on the blacktop where the surface is uneven and the court isn't to regulation. I think having a better place to practice will help the team be better and stronger. One time, me and my friends were playing basketball, and one of my friends tripped and fell on the uneven court and scraped his arm really badly. I helped him to the nurse's office, and he ended up missing the rest of the school day. In that moment, I felt really bummed and that my friend got hurt, and I also realized that could have been me. And now sometimes I feel unsafe playing on the court, even though I love to play basketball. Thank you for your time, and I hope you will decide to build the arc for our school.
Thank you, Brian, for sharing your opinion with us. Ian, would you like to come up and join us? You can do it, buddy.
Go, Ian, go.
Come on. All right.
There you go. Hold it.
I just put it on there. That's fine. Hi, my name is Ian, and I'm a 4th grader at Fissler. I think having an arc would be great for all students for lots of reasons. One time I was playing basketball and I tripped on the uneven floor of the blacktop and I scraped my elbow really bad. Another time I was having PE on a hot day and we had to do push-ups on the hot blacktop. And I burned my hand and I showed my mom when I got home. And when we have assemblies for the whole school, like the Patriots Day assembly, I can't hear sometimes what the speakers are saying because we are sitting spread out all over the lake area on the campus. So it doesn't make the assembly fun for me and my classmates because we can't hear. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope you vote for the ARC.
Thank you very much, Ian. Good job. Donna, we'll invite you up next.
Good evening, members of the board and superintendent. My name is Donna Kim. I'm here tonight to reiterate why this facility is so vital for our campus and to ask for your support. As you know, Fissler serves nearly 900 students, but our current campus simply hasn't kept pace with our size. Right now, our MPR cannot hold more than 2 grade levels at once, meaning we can't bring our entire school or even our entire middle school together under one roof for assemblies or pep rallies. Beyond capacity, the ARC solves very real day-to-day functional challenges for our students. Indoor physical education. With Southern California experiencing more and more frequent extreme hot days, this climate-controlled space ensures our kids have a safe place for PE instead of being stuck inside standard classrooms or the MPR or out in the heat, or no PE altogether. Safe athletic facilities. It provides our student athletes and the rest of our student body with proper level indoor floor to practice safely whatever their activities might be and reduce the risk of injury. And a true performing arts space. It gives our students a real stage where they can actually step up, step on, and be seen and heard by their peers, building confidence and pride in their work. You already know the logistics behind this project, and I'm simply here to reinforce that this is the right, long overdue solution for our campus and the clear path forward for our students' safety, health, and education for many decades to come. Thank you for considering this project. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and for considering this vote tonight. I respectfully ask for your vote in favor of approving the ARC for Fissler. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. And Elgin is our next speaker. And last on my list.
I think I signed up twice, so I actually have 6 minutes. All right. Thank you again for having me, and thank you, board members, for all your hard work. First of all, though, on Wednesday, really appreciate asking Farah to participate. On the drive back home, she was just amazed. I was like, how was it? You know, she was like, I thought she was like, oh, the music was great, blah, blah, blah. But what she really noticed was, and for a 13-year-old, I was shocked, the collaboration between, Feed the Children, United Way, the school district, and just the fact that it took 4 different entities to put this together and create magic for the community. And I was really proud of her noting that out. So again, thank you for inviting her to play. What I want to talk about today is obviously the ARC in a different perspective, in the sense that, I'll be clear, we want the ARC, right? And what I'm asking is, how can we think differently in the approach? Typically, in the past couple, Nicholas and Parks, which I've got to use as a parent, because my daughter goes there, is the best way I can put it. I grew up in Texas. It's a Texas barn house, right? And so what I'm asking is, how can we make it look and feel the way that the Fissler community can blend in? And so one thing that I would love for you guys to do on a beautiful summer night as it sunsets, see how the community is used. It's a multi-generational community where you got grandparents walking with their children, you got parents kicking the soccer ball in the field, and it's an HOA-centric school, if you think about it. It's smack dab middle of our community, and it's built the way it is, right? But as we approach how we build it, the cost structure of how we do it, when I read somewhere about Buena Park building theirs from the ground up instead of using prefab, my ask is, how can we think differently in the way that we've done it in the past, and look at ways that we can model to different schools in a more cost-effective way to build a better building? So whether that's building it from scratch, or maybe using the prefab, but in a way that we can negotiate harder on the cost, and building a more beautiful building, I think, than what we have currently. Because to be honest, Nicholas and Parks, that building is just not going to look nice in our community. Thank you.
Perfect timing, Elgin. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we've heard from the public. We also had a chance to discuss this item last month. We were presented with options for the proposal of a new build of this Fissler flexible space. We were given 3 options. We heard from our staff, and as a board, we decided then at the end of our meeting to give staff general direction to proceed with the plan for building of an arts and recreation center. We call them the ARC. But we did ask that they bring it back for a formal vote tonight. So that's what we're doing tonight, is we're voting to, on the agenda, it's to approve the contract of the architectural services with PJHM. And as was brought up by our public commenter, these are the same architects who originally designed the Fissler School. So there is the opportunity here to make it a bit more of that Fissler look and feel with the original architects of the designers of the school, who we trust will spend time getting to know the community and the changes that have happened in the 20-something or 30-something years since it's been built, but to try to make it as seamless as possible to fit into this new space. It's also, so we're looking to formally approve the contract with these architects, which then also is an indicator of our board's approval to move forward with the building of this ARC at Fissler School. So do we have question, comments, discussion? I'm going to open it up now.
I have a few questions.
Okay.
I'm curious, we are braiding the funds for the architect from general fund as well as Fund 21 and Measure N. Why are we not charging architectural services just to the bond? I just would like the community to
I asked that question of Rob.
Yeah, so it actually is a Fund 21 project, which that is our bond.
Measure.
A Measure N. And the other funds are listed on there in case we haven't had the opportunity to issue the second series of the bond. We would use those dollars and then replace them with bond dollars once they're issued. So great question.
And then I have a subsequent question to this, is that this contract's a not to exceed for the architect, and it is instructed that said architect will work with the Fissler community to design something that will, to render and imagine what this could look like. Have we had a discussion with them around, are they looking at taking the original ARC architectural drawing from Parks and Nicholas and then modifying it, or is this a whole ground up, I'm taking community input to design this in terms of the scope of services within this?
Yeah, unfortunately, Dr. Coughlin isn't here, and he is the one that's working most closely on it. As I understand it, this is taking the existing design and then making modifications to make it fit the aesthetic and the desires of Fissler.
Mm-hmm. And his response to us when we asked that question over email, it was at least another $1 million to do ground up versus, 600,000 for,
yeah. So I think we would be paying 600 and something thousand now, but if we were to change it, it would be $1 to $2 million.
It's important we have this discussion.
Yeah, yeah, clarity. Absolutely.
That was all.
Is there, who will be in charge of then helping or supporting our architects in that community input process?
Dr. Coughlin will lead that process.
Okay. I have one other thing. I brought up last time that I would like our architects to have the capacity or the ability to explore a gender-neutral, single-stall, ADA accessible bathroom baby changing toilet in this space. I think that when we do have large events and there are 1,000 people, 12 toilets is grossly under small. I know that they'll have probably access to more bathrooms on site, but to make it convenient and easy, I think that it's important for us to both be compliant with Senate Bill 760, ADA, helping small families, to be able to have that access. So when I was asking Dr. Coughlin about that option, he said that that's definitely something that we could direct staff to pursue with the architects. So I just want to get a temperature check from our board. Is that something that you're in agreement for us to give as direction to our staff in this process?
I think I would be agreeable to that. I think there's a few other little tweaks that I personally have noticed from our other ARCs that I would make sure that we give that information to them
Okay.
as well, but I didn't know if we were,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
think that doing that is good.
Yeah. So definitely learn from the experience of the other two ARCs and the community input that he will be leading.
Placement of bleachers.
Yeah.
Where the bathroom doors face, and there's things that I think they can modify.
Okay, great. The sound room?
Sound room, not being in the corner, more.
Central. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we'll learn from our experiences. We'll ask our architects to at least see if that's possible to include a single stall bathroom. And then with those directions, we will, do I have a motion to approve the contract that is with PJHM for the designing of services and then the building of the ARC at Fissler?
Sure. One step closer to making sure that every junior high kid doesn't have to burn his palms doing push-ups. So
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you, Trustee Cho.
I'll second that motion.
Second the motion.
Ian and Brian.
Okay, so all those in favor of this contract with PJHM and the construction of the ARC at Fissler, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes 5. Great.
Thank you for speaking, you guys. That took a lot of bravery.
Yeah,
Proud of you.
good job. Your voice matters.
And if you don't mind, I know we already passed this agenda item, but I wasn't able to attend the June 22nd meeting. I did go back and watch the entire meeting, the presentation, the board discussion, and I have to say, I agree with everyone on the board when I say that it is important for every single one of our children. It's about equity, and it's important that they all have access to the same resources that our other high school students have. So thank you all for speaking up. Thank you, Mom. Kids, thank you for coming in here. It is important that we hear your voice because we do hear you and we do. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our Fissler community, if you sneak out the back, we won't notice. But we are going to go back to our consent items, I think is next on our agenda. Yeah, thank you. See, it's a good thing I got you guys here. We'll go back to community schools. We're so excited because we love our community schools. And we will hear our presentation from Jenny Saul.
Five minutes. Ready? Good evening, Dr. Janson, members of the board, FSD cabinet, colleagues, families, and community members, both present and virtual. Thank you for the opportunity to share tonight's community schools update. My name is Jenny Saul, and I'm the program specialist with our Community Schools Partnership Program. I'm joined tonight by some members of our team in collaboration with Dr. Linda Soltero Ruiz, our Chief Academic Officer. As part of our CCSPP grant requirements, we're here to share our annual progress report and to state that all 8 of our site APRs are publicly shared on our community schools website. Let's take a look back at the growth and impact of our community schools work this past year. Everything we do is grounded in one vision. FSD partners to build a cohesive pre-K through 8 community schools network that accelerates the identification of high-quality whole child services for our highest needs students and families. Our work is aligned to our LCAP goals and built on the state's 5 capacity building strategies and the National Community Schools Framework, shared leadership, strong partnerships, and data-informed continuous improvement. None of this happens without an incredible team, and we have some of our members here tonight. We have 4 social service assistants, we have 4 credentialed school counselors, we have 8 site-level social service assistants, we have a community school district nurse, a community liaison, and myself as program specialist, all under Dr. Soltero Ruiz's guidance with leadership from Dr. Brown under Ed Services. Together, we support 8 community school sites across 2 cohorts, but it doesn't stop there. We are truly cross-departmentally collaborative. We work closely with the SEL team, the Student Support Services team, along with all departments in FSD, really. HR, business services, hey, nutrition services over there, and IIS, FSD is proudly a community schools district. Our health partnerships had real impact this year. This slide showcases how many students have received services in both physical and mental health supports, connecting students and families to care that they might not otherwise have access to. These outcomes are only possible because of strong community partnerships. Organizations like Bracken's Kitchen, Boys and Girls Club, Second Harvest, OC United, United Way, Providence St. Jude, and many others listed here and not listed here. On the website, there are more. In FSD, we value these partnerships with our community. Having witnessed that Feed the Children event with Niagara Cares last week, man, we do great things for our students and families in FSD. Every one of our community schools offers at least one parent learning series at their site, from 10 educational essentials and Words Alive to positive parenting program known as Triple P, Poder, nutrition education, ESL classes, and Champions for Children. These series build parent capacity and strengthen the homeschool connection. FSD has super strong social service supports, and we will continue these supports year after year. Moving forward into year 5 of cohort 1 of our Community Schools Partnership Program, we are shifting our focus to also strongly link to learning, utilizing parent groups to empower parents to be bridge-building parent leaders, bringing academic skills support to their greater community at each site. This is part of the foundation of community schools and the collaborative decision-making process. Shared decision-making happens at both the site and district level. So through community school site councils, PTA, ELAC, PBIS teams at sites, those are all integrations at the site level, and district integration includes DLAC, LCAP, Champions for Learning, and Ed Leadership. Through our work with the California Community Engagement Initiative over the past 2 years, we are implementing a change idea to build authentic relationships and improve attendance and behavior outcomes through STAR connections. We're reimagining the home visit concept. It's a positive home visit pilot where families discuss their hopes and dreams with their school community, encouraging more engagement in school decision-making event attendance. And the results are showing up in the data. Looking at the California dashboard performance levels across our community school sites from 2019 to 2025, as you know, the pandemic happened right in between that beginning one, and we got cohort 1 in 22-23. We have seen steady growth in both ELA and math, proof that this whole child, whole family approach is moving the needle academically as well. Thank you so much for your continued support of our Community Schools program. I'd like to invite everyone to our Welcome Back to School Health Fair next Wednesday, August 5th, from 3 to 5 o'clock at the Nicholas Community Center, and I am happy to answer any questions you might have. Ta-da!
Good job, Jenny. Thank you. Do we have questions from the board?
I first want to say thank you for this great presentation and, more importantly, the great work that you all do for our community school. I've personally had the opportunity to attend multiple of these classes and workshops and things that the community schools offers, and I've seen firsthand the impact that this has on our families and our children. So thank you very much. But one question that families ask me all the time, so I have to ask you, because they hear families from other schools that are not a part of the community schools program, they hear about the workshops, they hear about the classes, and they wonder why are they not accessible or available at our school. And so I know this is a program that we have to acquire grants for. So can you explain just a little bit about the community schools process and how a school can become a community school?
Well, we do have 8 identified community schools, and there are a number of factors that go into that, and it has to be approved by the state. our other non-community school sites don't qualify for community schools funds. However, through valuing our program as we are an FSD community school district, we are able to provide supports to families in need at all 20 of our sites. In regards specifically to the Parent Learning Series, we are embedding it into Champions for Learning so that every single site has representation and that capacity to be a bridge building parent to bring things back to their sites. We also very much value our parents, families, and students' opinions at every site, community school or not. Just last year, we were able to bring the 10 educational essentials in Korean to our families at Laguna Road. We did both Korean and English, and we are open to the idea of having more district-wide events like that. However, I want everyone to know that every single parenting series that we have at each site is available to any family who would like to attend it. So just because something is happening at Maple, if a family at Fistler is interested in Poder at Maple, they are 100% welcome to attend those classes at every site that they're happening at. Yes.
Yeah. I remember at one of our meetings when we were explaining the English classes, we did open it up to the community, and that is what I've been telling our families. Unfortunately, sometimes for some families, it is not accessible to be able to travel to other schools. So I specifically wanted you to just talk a little bit about it in case they're hearing, in case they're listening, or in case they go back and know somebody that knows about the program or the classes, that they are welcome and invited to attend any one of the workshops at any one of the schools, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
All are welcome. Anybody?
I just want to thank you for all of your time and effort in doing this, and to see the program just grow and grow each year and get better and better, and just morph into a true environment of caring makes me very proud. So thank you, and thank everyone for being part of that.
Thank you.
Wait, can you go back, Jenny? Jenny, will you go back? Sorry, does anyone else have questions? I was waiting for the rest of the board. I also wanted to thank you, and especially recognize just the trust that you've built that our staff have built in the community, to have folks show up in this way. You're dealing with some really hard stuff sometimes, and whether that's mental health or crisis that families are going through, they have to really trust you to seek help. So thank you for the ways that you're doing that, continue to do that. And I was thinking about how FSD, what we do, really benefits our entire community, because I know it's not just about the kids that go to our schools, but it's their parents and their grandparents and their older siblings and their younger siblings and their neighbors that hear about it and come too. So it's really doing a great service to our larger Fullerton community and really showing how to love our neighbors well. So thank you for that. I just want to ask two questions. I know we're starting year 5 and 3 for our 2 different cohorts. This is based on a grant funding from the state. Do we know how much longer those grants are available for? Are they renewable? And what is your prediction of the future of how we will continue to fund this?
These are some wonderful questions that we will dive into further. I actually have some meetings set up with Damien and Joanne, because our year 4, year 2 annual expenditure reports are due in September.
Okay.
The governor's, I'm not the expert in it. However, the governor has extended allocated funds to community schools programs through 2032. So we will be able to extend the bulk of our supports throughout that time. Again, I need to go over it more in detail with Damien and Joanne, but
good Lord. Just want to be clear, that does not include expansion of new community schools program into the community schools that we currently have. It just means that we will continue to be able to fund the services that we do provide with the 8 existing schools. So we initially thought we would be able to expand beyond that and add more schools. But right now, based on the governor's budget and the revise, we will currently be able to maintain what we currently have, which is a blessing as well, until 2032.
And that's guaranteed at the same funding amount until 2032?
Typically, because our UPP numbers don't change.
Okay.
So unless,
We have the grant, it continues until at least 2032.
correct.
That's
It says no.
That's true. Yeah. No. Budgets are not forever, but okay, that's great to know because it's not typically grants oftentimes are 2-3 years and then they expire and you have to try to get a new one. So this is great to know. Thank you for that clarification. And I just was curious too, the 8 social service assistants at the school sites, are they part of this budget as well? Because I know we have social assistants, social service assistants at all of our schools. So I was wondering, are those 8 paid through this program versus the others are more from a general school budget?
That is a great question. And yes, their funding is braided. So there is a portion that comes from the community schools grant in addition to Title I funds, site allocated funds. Yes, their positions are braided, the 8. And they are full-time at their 8 identified community school sites where our team for social service assistants help where the need presents itself.
Okay. Okay, those were my questions. Thank you so much. We're so grateful for all of our, you guys are the best. We love you guys. What you do in our community is incredible, and thank you for all your work.
Gracias. Thank you, Jenny. Woo! Ocho.
Now I think we can go to consent, right, guys?
Yes.
Consent items. Okay, we will move to our consent calendar. Kind of a longer one this time. Do we have any items that either need to be pulled or would like to be discussed before we move ahead with that?
Everyone's looking at me. I don't want to pull anything.
Okay.
I just want to comment on a few of them. No?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
You're looking at me like I have something to say.
That's me.
I'm going based on my thing here. So we are approving classified tuition reimbursements. I think it's a wonderful program that we offer the opportunity for our classified folks to continue their education and be able to be reimbursed by our school district for that. And we do have a couple people who have taken advantage of that this time. And so congratulations to them for taking those classes. In reviewing the certificated personnel report, I did ask a question. I noticed a lot of our RTI math teachers were being moved out of RTI math into other positions. I look back at this and I really, truly want to make just another comment that I really feel like RTI has been something that has really helped our students. If we can't reduce class sizes because of the dollars that go along with that and everything else, RTI is one of those things that we can do to offer services to our students. And to see us no longer having as many RTI teachers, for me is concerning. So I'm going to say it out loud so that people can hear it, because I really, truly feel like that's one program that I feel I support wholeheartedly. And I'm disappointed that we're taking math RTI out. Accepting, I'm wearing my Hilda shoulders here. The gifts to the district. If you take a look at that, our foundations and our PTAs, the community support that we have is wonderful. So I thank all of the community for really truly stepping up and helping our schools provide supplemental enrichment programs and sometimes even basic services to our schools. CTE is in there full-fledged. And then the Be Glad. I know that as you're looking through this agenda, and if anyone looked at the agenda and saw a revision to a contract of $100,000, it's a lot of money. And so thank you for the information on that. And I feel comfortable that what we're doing towards professional development and really providing the services and the resources to our staff to be able to educate our students is well worth the money that's in there. So that's what I had.
Okay, thank you. All right.
I just want to give a shout out to Esther for round 7, using round 7 funds for the Spider Lab and the work that you have done for all of our grants related. Well, it's a team effort, but I know that you're doing a lot of that work. Thank you.
All right, so with that, do I have a motion to approve our consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes. Great. Then we will move on to, looks like, discussion action items. We've already made our way through half of it. Let me catch up. So we are going to start with A, which is discussion of the creation of a strategic plan for strategic direction. And I'll let Dr. Janson share, but we're really looking just for thumbs up, general direction from our board on this. Well, you know what, I'll background to this also, just remind ourselves that in February of 2026, we as a board expressed a desire for a strategic plan for our district to guide our decision-making, resource allocation, and general focus. And now that we have our new superintendent in her place, we are ready to begin that work. So we'll look to you, Dr. Janson, to tell us what you're looking for as far as affirmation of that direction from us today.
Thank you, President Hanchett. I think a strategic plan is a great idea, and I'm so excited that this board has interest confirming that we will move forward with this action. I know that the board has developed some strategic goals, and now I think with the new leadership at hand, it's a great opportunity for us to pull those goals and talk about how we're going to make them happen, how they'll actually come to fruition. And what this item today will direct staff to do is to begin the development of the plans for the strategic plan. So discussion around timeline, the plans for the plan, discussion around timeline, stakeholder engagement, et cetera. So once we receive formal direction from the board, staff will begin developing the plan for the plan.
So we are looking just for any questions or concerns from our board, really high level kind of comments that you might want to make as she begins the process of making the plan for the plan and kind of scoping out what will be included, what that process will look like, and the timeline for how to get it done.
I just want to make sure that we have a plan for the plan that doesn't sit on someone's shelf and that no one looks at, right? So as you go through and make a strategic plan, I know that in some instances, people go through the process and it takes a long time, and then no one looks at it till the following year when you have to look back at it. So I would just hope that as we go through that it becomes a living, breathing document that is actually being used to set forward for this district.
So communication of some simplicity of communicating that plan would be critical. Then once all the details are decided, then finding a way to make sure everybody knows it and can repeat it and say it and talk about it and find their way to connect to it is important.
We'll go through the strategic planning process. Do you anticipate contracting out with an organization like a WestEd or other groups, or is that going to require our district staff to have to do a lot of the facilitation of these things? It's just good for us to understand how much time it will take, right, of our cabinet and of the different stakeholder groups as they are operating from a day-to-day perspective and some of the trade-offs we have to consider, and whether you all are thinking about contracting out in order to have those type of stakeholder and external.
Yeah, I've seen it done both ways. The district I just came from did contract out for the work. If that's the board's preference, we certainly could do that. I was intending to lead the process. I think that's important. We may partner with some teams to help us out, but I think I would be the lead of the process and begin with that.
I'm fine with that. I think it gives you a chance to really do the work of understanding our district and setting your own vision and understanding us, and then your own spin on where you want to bring us. I think that's why we hired you to do that work. So I'm happy for that. I think that that's up to us then as a board to also think about how we incorporate that into performance agreement for the superintendent, right? So it's a living, breathing document because your performance is based on how well we're moving towards that strategic plan and the goals that we share. Yep. Okay. Any other input? Okay.
I didn't really write any questions. I just started writing up strategic plan, and then I just started writing. I have like 2 pages of notes.
Oh, great.
I'm not even going to go into it because it's a lot, but I just started kind of thinking of district-wide priorities and can we identify 3 to 5 that we can focus on, da-da-da-da-da. So I think I'm just a step ahead. So I'm not even going to go into that because that's not what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay, so we'll look to Dr. Janson then to come back with us in what's a realistic time frame to kind of say, here's a first step of maybe scope and timeline that you would expect to.
Yeah, I think I can provide a report at the next meeting, our August meeting.
On progress towards that?
Yes.
Would you prefer a communique or do you want to do an actual presentation?
I can provide it in my superintendent report, perhaps.
Okay.
A brief update.
Okay, and then we can dig in further at additional meetings after that as we offer our notes and our input. Great, okay.
I can give you my notes now.
Yeah, is there anything else you need from us?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, then we will move on then I think to review of our new policies. Yes, so we're going to go on to section 11, which is administrative reports. So we're starting with a revision to our first reading of the revised board policy 6142.7 on physical education and activity.
Yes, so this is an update to our physical education board policy, which was last updated 18th, 2024. These are revisions that are suggested by the California School Boards Association. They have a legal team that reviews each of the board policies and provides regular updates based upon new state laws and changes to regulation. So there is one change that we made. We had under the section called permanent exceptions, independent study was listed twice. So one of those will be removed to clean that up for the second read, plus any feedback that the board may have regarding any other changes or additions.
This is a first read. We do not need to take action, but if there's anything of substance that you would like to bring up right now for discussion, we can do that. Otherwise, if it's small changes, you are welcome to send feedback to Dr. Chat, okay, over the next month before our next board meeting where we will probably approve it, barring any major changes. Does anyone have any comments or input that like to discuss?
On the English learners.
Oh, that's our next one.
Sorry.
So just for our PE.
PE.
Oh, PE. Okay, physical education.
I had something on.
I also have one for, so for physical education, should grade span references be changed to tailor K through 8 since this is a K through 8 district? I know some of the references talk about high school.
The references that are on here refer directly back to the education code, which really deals with grades TK through 12. So, or grades 1 through 12, as in the case of the new second paragraph. So it would be in conflict with the education code to modify that. We want to try to leave it as much as we can.
That was my question. I wasn't sure if it was based on education code and we had to write it that way, or if it was something that was that we could change.
Yeah, based on education code, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Also on physical education, under program evaluation, I feel like the way that it's written and crossed out, it's a little bit repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
I can email you if you like my suggestion.
Yes, please, that would be helpful.
Okay. It's the whole paragraph. I can email you the entire
The whole thing. That would be
paragraph.
great.
It just sounded a little repetitive to me. I know sometimes with policy we have to be repetitive, but I'll email it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a little kind of.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I have a question regarding should we refer to the Performance Academy at all in here? I mean, I think, no, is our Performance Academy, for those students that are in our Performance Academy, they would be considered on independent study, so that's covered. So we don't have to make any reference to that program at all, okay, because it's an independent study.
Sorry, I forgot. I also have another question. We're crossing out the period no less than 200 minutes at each 10 school days. And have these requirements been removed from California law, or why are we removing them from board policy if they're still required?
What paragraph?
In the second page. Second page.
Physical, yeah.
It says physical education is required course of study. I didn't see it anywhere else, but it's crossed out. It's part of education code 51210.
Because you're making reference that it's going to be in the administrative regulation. So the paragraph above it,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, or may offer an alternate term of schedule for grades.
I think that the actual policy doesn't put the number of minutes in it, but maybe it's in the
Changed in
AR.
That's why I'm asking, did it change?
5100 versus 5122. It changed in ed code. It's giving districts the ability to have more flexibility, and this is from legal counsel, so it has to be updated because of the ed code change from 51200 to 51222.
So it's no longer required that, that was my question.
It doesn't have to be in our policy.
It does not have to
Okay.
be in the policy, and it gives more at the superintendent to be able
Okay.
to do that.
I know the minutes are still required. Are you talking to me, Anna, or Miguel? Oh, I know the minutes are still required. That's what I looked up.
Asking why we're taking the minutes out.
And that's why I was asking why you're taking the minutes out. If it was changed, if we changed education code, that would make sense, but.
The education code hasn't changed, but if that change was recommended by California School Boards Association as a change to the policy and having it just be listed inside the AR as opposed to the board policy.
Okay.
It leaves our policy to be a bit more inclusive and flexible if it changes in the future.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Bev, did you have anything of substance you want to discuss? Or if it's small things, you can.
Yes.
Dr. Chad? Okay. Okay, then if we're finished with the physical education, we can move on to the next policy for our first read of our student use of technology. So I will start on this side. Miguel, do you have anything you want to, of substance to add to this
And
for
Board
discussion?
President Hanchett, may I make just a few mentions of things that we wanted to change before the board had their discussion? If you go to page 3 of 7, there are items that are numbered, which are the district's acceptable use agreements. Under number 1, we had added the word cast, and it had been crossed out in the first read, but actually that was added at the recommendation of a board member, so we actually would like unstrike that out and leave it in place. Also, in number 3, the word image had been struck through, and that was just a mistake. That image should remain because it's just any of those identifiable issues. And then at the very end, under the second to the last paragraph, there's a sentence or a fragment of the sentence which is repeated twice, and how to respond when subjected to cyberbullying. One of those will be removed, so that will just be listed one time in that paragraph.
Okay. Thank you.
And this policy is also being looked at because we are catching up with what the laws have, not so much our policy as far as minutes being used in each classroom, because that's a big thing now, but we're not touching that yet. This is just about the policy itself and incorporating any changes that have come through the state that is mandatory to kind of catch up.
Correct. Just like the PE bill, just like the PE update, all the assembly bills most of them have been updated at the top of this year, and so now we're required to update our board policies as well.
Okay. So, yeah, I think, Bev, you bring up a really important point that we definitely have been hearing, I think, as board members, different concerns from our family, from the community, from our families in the community, particularly around screen use, and whether that's the amount of time or the type of screen use that's happening, both, honestly, in class and outside of class, and just concerns as families and parents as to making sure that we're using these tools and technology in the best possible way to advance the educational goals of our students. But this policy particularly is much broader than that. I think it's dealing with a lot of all use of technology, which we have oftentimes, I remind myself, books were technology at one point, right? So any tool that we use that is going to bring us the tools we need to for education, thinking about the appropriate use of those things. And I think we want to make sure that it's the technology we use is vetted, is tested, and it's helping to ensure it's not only safe, but helps us achieve our learning objectives. But it is possible for us as a board to form and take decisions on a screen use policy at a future date. It doesn't necessarily have to be crammed into something like this at this point, right?
President,
Yes.
Dr. Janson, could you preview a little bit of what might be happening down the pipe to address these concerns and what opportunity we might have for parents to come and voice their opinions as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We're well aware, particularly some of the stark decisions been made in other districts. We're well aware that this is a hot topic right now, and in cabinet we've been discussing it quite a bit. I'll actually turn it over to Jeremy to share a little bit more around what he's been doing in partnership with Ed Services to ensure that we are taking a good look at our screen usage. And that we're ensuring that students are using screens in a meaningful way, and that we aren't perhaps discussing broad policies that then deny students access to the curriculum they need. So I'll let Mr. Davis share a little bit more.
Sure. We've done a number of things. Last year, we did a survey near the end of the year, with our teachers that we're going to be revisiting in a staff meeting. So there'll be a little more time, and we got great participation for it being the end of the year and us doing an ask of teachers saying, "Hey, please spend a little time to fill this out." So we had like 270 teachers respond across a variety of grade levels and schools. We felt it was a really good representation, and part of what we want to do with the board is show some of that data to be able to say, look, how often are things actually being used, and what does our screen time actually look like? I answered a number of emails this summer, parents of kindergartners saying, I really don't want my child on the screen 8 hours a day. And I'm like, well, that's great, because at your school, the average is 30 minutes. So you're in good shape. Like we value hands-on learning. We value these things. But there's also times like at the middle school where literally every bit of our curriculum is on the iPad. That's how they actually access the textbook. So if you say, how often are you on the iPad in 7th grade? A lot of people say, well, all day. It's because it needs to be open so they can see their textbook. So it's just like you would have had your textbook open, sitting on the corner while you're doing work. The same thing happens with an iPad at like the 7th and 8th grade level, because so much of the curriculum is based on that device. But our goal as a district is to have great use of technology, because when technology is paired with really good pedagogy, that's your teaching, it accelerates learning and it accelerates engagement. When it's paired with not great teaching, it can actually hurt. All the studies show that. So it's not just screen time. We also we asked how much time do you think your students need to spend at home on homework? And 50% of our teachers said 0. They don't actually assign homework on the iPad at night. So I think some of it is getting the story out of what our actual screen time usage is. So people aren't thinking, oh my gosh, it's all day. They're staring at the screen. But not only that, what are they actually doing? One of our a very large district in California recently came out with a policy that I am deeply concerned about, because if you take devices away from grade levels, you can't actually teach the standards. There's standards all the way down to kindergarten that require the use of devices in order to accomplish the standards. So what you want to do great teaching combined with great technology to actually enhance engagement, enhance learning. Things like why we bought Snorkel, very purposeful when we spent a year trying to figure out what kind of AI we might bring in, why we spent 2.5 years doing training around professional development, around how artificial intelligence should be with our students and things like that. So I'm very excited. We were just contacted recently. We were asked to be one of 8 districts in the country to join a cohort with Project Speak Up and Project Tomorrow. They're a group that does a lot of surveys and a lot of research in this area. They've presented to Senate and to Congress, and they said, we know Fullerton does a good job. We'd like you to be one of our 8 to start this research topic in this area. So we talked about in cabinet a little bit today. We're going to do a little more work with them and potentially join that cohort. So I'm excited that we can be on the front end of some of this work, to sort of say, what are we going to do with our kids because we do a good job of protecting our students, a really good job of that. I think a lot of the concerns out there might be dealing with a personal device a little more than like our device because, you know, our filtering and things like that. So we are very good with teaching and training our teachers to do great work with the technology in every way that we can. And that's our goal is to not have students doing work that's not actually engaging to them or not accelerating their learning. It should always be for a purpose. And that's what our goal has been as Fullerton for years. I mean, it's a cultural piece here, long before I was here. It's one of the reasons I wanted to come here is because Fullerton's been this sort of shining light on the hill when it comes to technology for years. And that's one of the reasons we were one of the first in California to be able to open for COVID, because we had a culture of embracing innovation and people knew innovation was part of who we are as a district. Not tech for tech's sake ever, tech for the sake of doing great things for students. So we'll continue that. We'll be able to tell the story, and we're trying to get as much data as we can to be able to help people understand we're doing good things with tech. It's not there should be nobody literally all day on like watching YouTube and anything like that. It should always be connected to great learning. That's what we've been, pushing, and that's what we've been trying to do as a district. So we'll do a lot of that. We'll board present probably in August. I believe we can do a presentation with the data we have. We'll get a little more data before that, and we can talk to you about what's happening potentially with that cohort as well.
And tell us more, what was the study topic?
It's the efficacy of ed tech and programs and actual device usage. So a lot of it's around efficacy. So they're looking at
that make a difference.
They're basically trying to create a matrix of what does it look like for a district to do it really well. So they reached out. They said, we think you're going to be on the far end of this matrix. How would you design a matrix to help districts understand where they are in a culture of innovation and a culture of technology, not just sort of throwing random things at people and saying, hey, here, try an app. But it's like, no, how is that going to actually work with kids? So Julie Evans called, and I Zoomed with her earlier this week, and she said, hey, we'd love for Fullerton to be a part of it because we've known for years you guys do it right and do it well. Not on me, on our culture. We have teachers who embrace it, and they've embraced the learning. And really, as a district, this district has decided it's a part of who we are. So it's successful and purposeful use of technology. So I'm very interested in being a part of the cohort to show other districts like what does it look like to do it well. And I'm not saying we're perfect. There are areas we might find, we could do a little better here, a little better there. But we feel like we've done we are very purposeful when we make decisions about what are we going to do. We work with Ed Services beyond incredibly well. We're not our own little island like when we've done the AI. I mean, there's so many people in this room. We're a huge part of that. We had like 40 people teaching how to do this because everybody needed to be on board. We had, Helena was in my group. She's like, I'm in, let's go. Let's figure out how to do AI. So like every department was there doing something to help to say, let's see how great this can be for kids. Let's not hide from it. Let's see what good we can get from it. So that's sort of very purposeful with that.
Okay, so it sounds like what I'm hearing is we'll wait for August to then hear more about our current practices, and then we can then decide as a board if we want to follow that up with perhaps a new policy or resolution around screen use and kind of our intentions behind that. But for now, are we good with continuing to improve upon this policy that exists right now?
The one thing I do have concern over is the line. I know it's the first read, I can send it to you, but there is a line in the paragraph of, in order to promote digital citizenship, the board recognizes that students must have access to the latest digital tools and receive instruction that allows students. My concern about latest digital tools is that the policy language is a bit subjective. And how are we really measuring latest digital tools? And you do a great job, Jeremy, of partnering and having the efficacy of technology and how ed tech stacks with learning objectives. Hopefully we'll have you for a very long time, but when we commit to a board policy, I think about like potential expense. It's difficult to measure efficacy of a latest tool. Software as a service continuously changes, and so it really could be interpreted as requiring districts to commit itself to purchasing the newest, greatest, hot commodity thing that comes out of ed tech in Silicon Valley. And so I want to make sure that we have an alternative to that.
How about more effective?
So I don't know.
Yeah, I actually have that highlighted as well, because I feel like it should be clearer, more fiscally responsible wording, or consistency. I know specifically with student safety. So I do have a suggestion that's written in my notes. I can give it to you. But I do have notes. So
What is
I-
your suggestion?
So my suggestion was, instead of saying, so where it says that students must have access, students should have equitable access to current, age-appropriate, district-approved digital tools, instead of just access to the latest digital tool. I feel like if we say age-appropriate and district-approved, just throwing those two terms in there makes it a little bit more focused on student safety. I mean, we don't have to add that in there, but that is.
Yeah, I would support that addition, that edit. I think that's a good improvement.
I had something similar to
Mhm.
Students shall have equitable access to digital tools and technologies that support instructional program and student learning outcomes.
Mhm.
So really rooting it into. So it could be adding age appropriate, but then the student learning outcome and.
Mm-hmm.
I put age-appropriate. Age-appropriate, district-approved.
Can I suggest that you will send your edits to Jeremy and then
Find those.
reconcile them and
I can
make sure that
I'll give you my.
yeah.
Okay.
They're all
Flip over.
on here.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of getting rid of latest, to be honest. One of your other called me on the weekend. They're like, "What about latest?" I'm like, actually, yeah, I'm fine with that because we don't chase trends. We do what's
We don't.
kids.
I know we don't.
Yeah, having codified latest is completely unnecessary. We do the tech that's good for.
And per our conversation on, student safety.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Making
Yeah.
sure that just making sure that we have the right word and the right terminology into our protocols is important,
Yeah.
our policy.
My impression.
Are phenomenal at what you do. So I have no criticism at all.
Yes.
I
thank you.
Or of
Appreciate
the document that lives on.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, in this document and reading it, it seems like the first two paragraphs are kind of more, they're setting up the topic, and it's from CSBA. It's not necessarily our value system or what we do at Fullerton. The rest, there's a lot of details that obviously we can't change because of ed code or expectations about funding streams and things like that. But those first two paragraphs, I think we have space to make edits and changes because it really is not critical to the content. In the same way, I would suggest that very first line, it says the governing board believes that the effective use of technology is integral. It says the education and development of students. I don't think it's critical for the development of students to have the latest technology, but I think it is to a 21st century education. So I would strike the education and development of students and just say it's an effect. It believes that the effective use of technology is integral to a 21st century education. That's what we're aiming towards. And in the same way, I think that the second paragraph, there's some pieces about protecting personal data and the potential of bias, errors, and I would add harm in artificial intelligence content. Again, I don't believe that that's critical language that we can't play with, but I think one of our goals in teaching digital wellness is to talk about the harms that are caused through misuse of technology. So I think that's an important piece that we want to make sure our kids are learning about as well.
Also, on the second page, I was just curious as to what the board thought of the addition of "and anywhere in the world." The district reserves the right to monitor students' use of technology within the jurisdiction of the district without advance notice or consent at any time and anywhere in the world. I was just
Have a
curious
lot of
as to
students
what your thought process was
We have a lot of students who travel
with anywhere in the
outside of
Boundary
U.S.
when they're traveling.
and they
for
take
vacation.
They will go
their tablets
study,
with them.
Yeah.
spend a month in.
Was that
And to clarify, it's their usage of district stuff, not.
Oh, yeah, we can't get to anything else. So yeah, everything they do technically comes back through our office through a proxy server, so we can filter it. So even when they're in another countries, so we get a lot of from South Korea, a lot of from Mexico, where they travel over spring break, take their device with them, and they're doing work or whatever. It's still filtered so we have to be able to do that. So in order for them to be able to take it, it's got to be filtered. Otherwise, we'd have to cut off internet access for that device when they're gone, or if they're on independent study. So a lot of times they want to do independent study while they're gone, and we need to be able to filter it. So adding that anywhere in the world, I mean, if they go to North Korea, Russia, there's like 5 countries, it will just stop working. We have that.
I just underlined it and I put safety on it.
Yeah.
Overboard, but I agree.
I think it's great. We can add that phrase.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
It seems to me we're in agreement with the general direction of the comments we're making. So we will, let's agree to give those to Jeremy and he can reconcile. If there's any questions or concerns, you can lay out 2 options, but I think you can probably do some wordsmithing to make it all work.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Any other final comments on that? Okay. Then we will move to our last first read policy, which is around English, supporting the education of our English learners, our multilingual learners. And again, we are updating this based on, do we have a little background of the reason for updating this from our 2022 version of the policy?
Yes, again, there's been some updates to education code and to practices and content standards. So we want to make sure that those are reflected in this. And again, just to ensure that our practices related to English learners are the most up-to-date and current with what is viewed as best practice, especially there's been a lot more discussion around integrated versus the designated ELD instruction and some changes to what that looks like. So we want to make sure that's included. We have didn't have anything in here that needed to be changed as far as edits from a staff level, but we are looking forward to the board's input.
I also want to say, in addition to what Chad mentioned, there hasn't been legislative updates, but there have been policy updates at the state level regarding newcomer students, transitional kindergarten assessments, long-term English learner accountability, LCAP requirements, and as he mentioned, FPM documentation. So that's the requirements that we need to add in there since 2022. In terms of not the state requirements, but just how we transition our students into a bilingual program and making sure that they're successful.
So again, we're looking for substantive changes that you feel like we need to discuss as a board before handing them over. I can make some comments if no one else, you want to.
I have a comment on page 4. I had a comment on the high school reference, but we're going to strike that one since we already got that one taken care of with the one before. On page 4, I don't know if it's the way it's written or maybe just the way I understood it, but under reclassification or redesignation, I have a comment there and I highlighted upon request by a student's parent or guardian. And to me, it just sounded like a parent alone can request reclassification of a student. I'm sure that's not the way it was written or meant to sound. That's just the way it sounded to me, and I know we don't allow that.
Or upon.
Page 4 under reclassification and redesignation, where it says, or upon request by the student's parent guardian of an English learner, the student shall be transferred from a language acquisition program into an English language mainstream classroom. Can you please?
So really what this comes down to, and it comes back to earlier days, back to Prop 187, that the child's designation as an English learner doesn't change, but the parent can request my child, if the child is in an ELD or receiving ELD instruction, that their child no longer receive that instruction, the child be in a English language mainstream program only. So that's the reason for that language there.
Okay, so a parent can request to be put in English only and not be put in an ELD class.
Correct.
That
is their ability to request, but they can't be.
But they're not
reclassified. They are not reclassified from being an English learner, and they would still have to take the LPAC and receive the assessments, and still it would say on their records that they're an English learner.
Okay. It's just the way when an English learner
the policy, it makes it sound like a
when you're reading It makes it sound because
Sound like a parent.
when an English
But-
learner has acquired a reasonable level of English proficiency as determined based on state and district reclassification criteria pursuant to Education Code or upon a request by the student's parent guardian of an English learner, the student shall be transferred from a language acquisition program into an English language mainstream classroom. And that makes sense the way you explained it to me right now, but the way, because it is under reclassification or redesignation,
Yeah.
it kind of makes it sound like a parent alone can request for their child to be reclassified, which is not, I don't know if this maybe can I didn't write any notes. It's just my question as to what it was that we're trying to say here.
We could add some additional language to be able to say such a request does not constitute reclassification.
Okay.
And the student shall remain identified and assessed as an English learner until the student meets applicable reclassification criteria. So we can add that if you like.
That would definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I'll send
That is
that.
a little confusing the way it's worded.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
So I was thinking about this policy a lot this week, and I think it puts a spotlight on both an area for growth of our district to support our students, but it's also, contrary to what some might have said already tonight, it is one of our greatest strengths, are the assets that our kids bring. I mean, I was looking at our numbers. I think about 15% of our students speak at least one other language besides English at home, right? Spanish, Korean, Mandarin, Cantonese, Arabic, Vietnamese, Japanese, Urdu, Farsi, Russian, Tagalog. I mean, these kids come with such rich resources. And as I looked at this policy, I don't believe that it reflects our values as a school district. Because again, a lot of this is borrowed language from what CSBA has said. But our programs, and I believe our attitudes and our adults should be one that sees these as beautiful assets that our kids come with and not as deficits. And what I see in this policy is a lot of deficit language. I think we as a district have worked hard and are working towards encouraging and celebrating plurilingual learners. And we want to, as much as possible, encourage students to maintain those skills, that the language they speak at home, and continue to grow in that as they develop their English skills. And I've been thinking about every single child is an English learner, right? From the time they are absorbing language, we are all English learners. It's just some have multiple languages that they're learning at the same time. And so it's only because we only teach our primary curriculum in English that becomes a challenge for our kids. And so we want to think about how do I know we as a district value, and we're investing, our consent item is $100,000 this right now that we voted on in this Be Glad professional development services, so that we can support these kids to fully access and thrive in our majority English language instruction. But I don't think this policy is there yet for really reflecting where we're at as a district and what we value as a board and as a community. I was actually in the home of a student this week, and I saw framed on the wall a poster, a drawing that she had done, and she's in one of our bilingual classes, and it showed how a drawing of herself, and she said that being bilingual was her superpower. And I think that was core to her identity, and we want that for all of our kids, that same pride and joy and identity for as many kids as possible, whether they're learning a new language or coming in with multiple languages. I believe that's our value system here. So I want to propose some changes, especially in the beginning, to kind of set up what that looks like for us and a value statement for us. What I would like to propose to my board is something like Fullerton School District values and seeks to build upon the cultural and linguistic diversity and assets that students bring to their education in safe and affirming school climates. While all students enter school with various levels of English proficiency, FSD recognizes many students have a diversity of home languages beyond English. Multilingual learners bring a valuable asset and also require additional support and enrichment opportunities in order to thrive in a predominantly English academic environment. FSD seeks to be responsive to different English learners' strengths, needs, and identities, and to support their academic and social emotional growth, and to provide pathways towards multilingual literacy. And this I got from our California Department of Education. FSD embraces California's vision of success for English learners who fully and meaningfully access and participate in a 21st century education, resulting in their attaining high levels of English proficiency, mastery of grade level standards, and opportunities to develop proficiency in multiple languages. What do you guys think about adding something like that?
I share your sentiment. I worry about adding non-binding language to board policy because of the purpose that board policy serves to inform administrative policies. I'm also, unfortunately, concerned about the litigious nature of our society when we include things like must and shall in a board policy that can be held against us at some point down the road. So I'm open to the inclusion of language like this, but would strongly recommend that we float this through council to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for failure by including such language. Another venue could be something like a resolution that we pass in conjunction with this, where we reaffirm our values and want to reinforce to the community what we stand for. But a board policy has a particular use, and I guess I'm just saying a lot of words to say I worry about the kind of words we put in there, but want council to weigh in.
The other thing I have concerns of similar sentiment, but also if we are thinking about any type of grants that are at the federal level, anything that kind of conflicts against federal Department of Education, things that are going to unfortunately impact our ability to be able to get revenue from other sources, that is a contentious point for the Department of Education at the federal level of California having a different viewpoint versus the federal. And so how are we reconciling that? And so I think we'd have to really think about that as well, because I have seen that.
Yeah, it's not hypothetical. They want attachments of your policies to make sure that
they want to make sure that, yes,
that you're on the right side of their viewpoints. Otherwise, you don't get grant funding. Yeah,
that can potentially hurt the district given the current political climate at the federal level.
I think there's some language that we can provide that satisfies both purposes. So that way we maintain the bridge and multicultural gifts that our students bring, but and use their home language as a bridge to English language development, which is ultimately the goal of this policy.
Yes.
So we really want to focus on the designated English learner time, the integrated English learner time, but at the same time ensure that we use multicultural pedagogy and resources, so that way that home language doesn't get lost in their assets, right? So I think there's some language we can share with you all, and if you're okay with it, then we'll have it. Chad will have it to you before the next time.
Yeah,
That would be great. Thank you.
I'm okay with that. I think as you're doing that, the same for, there's a new paragraph that's bolded after point 1 that it specifically talks about remedying academic deficits. And I think, again, if the question is, do we have to keep it for compliance, I can let it go, but it seems very punitive and deficiency focused rather than supporting the assets that our learners bring, and really about supporting those learners. So if we could, I would like to rewrite that.
And just keep us safe.
Yeah, keep us safe.
And make sure that we run it past the goal so that we have something. Well, I mean, I think what James said is that, board policy is there to be able to, hold true to what we're doing. And if someone were to come back and fight that, you have a policy to go back to. And if you make it too much, then it makes it hard to stand behind. So I think that's how our board policies have always been, is, shorter and not as implicit in it. Right?
You don't want to open yourself to exposure.
I do have some questions, specifically kind of the way that this is interpreted. So point number 3, it talks about that no student would be basically denied access to honors, and it mentions A through G, but that's not relevant to us, but advanced placement and honors because they are classified as an English learner. Would the same be true for our GATE program? And would it be valuable to mention that specifically?
Well,
No. I mean, we obviously have honors at the junior high level, and those are seen as continuation of our gifted and talented education.
maybe
But
we could add a component or other district, maybe it would be requirements for college
special education.
comma, advanced courses or district programs. Because it could be GATE, it could be in debate, it could be
Yeah.
any number of district.
I think just, yeah, making sure that it's inclusive of all district programs so that there's, understanding that's,
Yeah, if their status is not going to penalize you from access, I fully support that.
okay. The same, I was curious about, there's discussion of professional development as well. And it mentions specifically teachers and I think admin, but not counselors, instructional aides. It seems as though anyone who's really working with students should have these skills, or is that too pervasive than obligate us?
My concern with that would be teachers really are the ones who are mandated to provide the
Mhm.
direct instruction, while the counselors or a psychologist or someone else may use strategies. It's really the teacher in the classroom who is the one that needs to be delivering
Mhm.
that content. So I know that that will be something specifically they're looking for. How are we ensuring that teachers
Mhm.
are doing both the designated and the integrated ELD and getting the professional development to do that
Mhm.
in their classrooms?
Okay. What about our teachers that work with students with special education? Specifically, I was thinking about the reclassification process. There's no exceptions or kind of alternatives, like if, for instance, a child is nonverbal. I'm curious how we would navigate that process and what are the instructions that are given for teachers of students with special education.
That's done actually as part of the IEP, and when a child is nonverbal, that's actually part of the work. That's the IEP is how are we providing the child with access to language.
Mhm.
If the child is nonverbal or is limited in language, even though they may come from a different home language and have a different home language, we still need to talk about what does language access look like, and it actually becomes part of the IEP document.
And would we then have the possibility of reclassifying them if they, gained enough of competency in English that we felt like they were at a, because basically it says is typical to their peers who are non-English learners. And that's not going to be necessarily the case for all students, right?
Right, and it really, again, that's the IEP team looking at how has this child developed, and then that can be done through the IEP process.
And that could be a pathway for reclassification.
It could be a
Okay, so they don't necessarily have to take the LPAC in order to be reclassified.
right, but they do have, there does have to be standard objective assessments that at least we can point to
Mhm.
that may be used in the IEP process, because there has to be other sources of data as well.
Okay.
But that can be done through an IEP.
Okay, it just doesn't, well, maybe it's broad enough that that's covered. I just wasn't sure. Maybe we'll take a look at that, double check.
I didn't see any specifics on that, Ruthie, but also, given that I have a student with an IEP, we went through the whole reclassification process as well.
Okay, then again, we will send our recommendations. I will send mine with the understanding that you will review and work to make sure you are protecting our district and minimizing obligations that we are not. But I think that reframing our value system, our values as a district is important to me, and I think sets the tone for the way that we want to approach this issue. Okay. And we are, I think, where we can look at future requests from our board for any future items that you would like to see in coming up.
Madam President.
Yes.
So Jeremy, you talked about August coming back maybe with some information, sharing some of that survey data. One thing I'll float is if this request pushes that back to September, I'd be open to it. I do think we should survey the parents, because I think finding out what the teachers and their understanding of use in the classroom is a vital part of the tripod here between us, the staff, but also the parents. Because if there is a mismatch, I really would like to know, like, what do the parents think is actually happening in their class? And then the staff can provide us, like, well, this is what's actually happening. And then we could start attacking the seam to figure out where that mismatch is happening. So a survey that's a link that's included with one of the Sunday messages the principals can blast out, so we can have that data to kind of look at side by side. I wonder what the board's thought, Jeremy's thought, your thoughts on that?
We discussed that today actually in cabinet, that we'd be doing a parent survey. We're trying to make sure it's done correctly, whether that's with a partner like West Ed to make sure it's correct, or whether we do it. So Gretchen asked me today to come up with a list that we as cabinet would look through and make sure we have the right questions because you don't want it to appear in any way like we're trying to get to an answer. So it's got to be very, very clean and unbiased, because we really just, so like with the teachers, we just want to know, what are you doing? Like what are you doing? And then we can get some averages and things like that. You know, and we're going to be talking with our principals as well at the retreat on Thursday. Part of my talk with them is we need to not only do this survey, but we need to know as a grade level, like, are you talking with your teachers about what are some averages, so you don't have one at like 6 hours and one at 5 minutes, like, okay, what, you know, which I don't think is really happening around the district. Typically, people work in what we call PLCs. They work together. They sort of are doing the same curricular kind of work. They're working in Discovery Education, which is an online piece, or they're working in Reflex Math, or they're doing an iReady thing, and they typically are doing very, very similar pieces. Some that are super innovative might be doing a little more research online, or might be like getting kids to do a little more information literacy, but I don't think it's drastically different, which is what we're finding. But the same with the parents. I don't want to push them towards a certain outcome, so we have to be careful with that. But we already discussed that today, that we want a parent survey to see where they're at, because you're right. If parents think we're at 7 hours a day and we're actually at half an hour, that's a little easier for the board to say we're not. We're doing this really well. But if parents think we're at half an hour and they don't like half an hour, then it's like, oh, that's probably where we are for, you know, most of our, especially our lower grade levels are at a lower amount. So absolutely, we want that data as well. And we want the parents to have a voice and feel that I don't want anybody to feel we're brushing anything aside and assuming like this is what you think, therefore it's not correct. It's not our approach at all. It is, what does everybody think? What are we actually doing? So the fastest is the teachers. Second will be parents, and we could do, I'm always happy to come back and do two if you want one in August around what we found and then what's coming from the parents, or we could push till September and get parent data to compare as well. Either one's fine with us.
Yeah, we can wait till September if it means more thorough information.
Yeah, great.
And when you're speaking to teachers, they're self-reporting, right? How much time? Because right now we cannot access like the numbers of minutes on a screen, right?
Yeah, and that's something that in the board presentation we need to make really clear for parents to understand is we're an Apple district. One of the great things about Apple is the devices are really secure. They do not allow apps to see what other apps are doing. Really good, like your bank, that's really good. So, but at the same time, what it doesn't allow, that you might hear other districts have some of this data, on a Chromebook, the apps can, like Chrome can see what everything else is doing, so they produce data in a little different way. So we've actually had really good conversations with Apple. I got to go to Apple, the mothership, as they call it, the gigantic circle up in Cupertino about a month ago. And this was a big hot topic, is I need a district dashboard that looks like screen time. Like, I need that. And I know you have it, just give it to me. And they're like, it's not that easy. I'm like, I know it's not at all that easy, but we've had some really good conversations. Being the only Apple Distinguished District west of Texas, they listen to us, and they bring me into conversations with some high up folks for them to understand, look, we need this data, because I can do self-reporting. And the great thing is we have really good teachers, like really, really, really good teachers. And I don't think they're lying to us about this. They do a good job. I mean, the data we got, they spent time like, oh, here's all the apps I use, here's what I do. It was really good data they gave us. I just would like to do it with the whole group to try and get all 600 and do it during their instructional, not instructional time, their meeting time. So, you know, they make sure that they have time to do it, so we get a little bit better data. But I can't just pull it out of the devices. I wish I could. But we have filter data as well. But the problem is, you probably know when you go to close your apps, how many apps were in the background, like 25 or 30. Or if you're like me with my tabs, maybe 1,000. Tabs open at all times. It's really bad. My computer just turns itself off sometimes. It gets tired. It's like, I can't do it anymore, and it just dies, and that's fine. I turn it back on. It's all good. But if you imagine that with the students, same thing. All the apps in the back are still calling out to the network when they're not being touched. So you can't really use that data, because it looks like they're active on 20 apps all at the same time, which they're not. They're only active on that front app. But the network is trying to update software and things at all times, so you can't actually use filter data either. So we're working very closely with Lightspeed. Our filter company is actually one of the top ones doing some of this work. We're asking them, hey, make us a beta district until it actually works on Apple, then we'd probably pay you for it if you're giving us good data. But we've been going back and forth with them because you can't pull, the filter data is not good data. It just shows, you know, all kinds of stuff that's not really active touch data, and you need to know what they were in and what they were up to. So my biggest dream would be, how much was in assessment time, like our state assessments, iReady, benchmarks, things like that? How much was in something like Kahoot, like a fun game but assessment where you're engaging the students? How much was in Seesaw, parent communications? I mean, that's a big deal for a lot of our communities, is that parent communication on Seesaw. I can't imagine what a district that is going to get rid of all devices, K3, is now going to do with parent communication, because Seesaw is like a glimpse into the classroom where kids are taking pictures of their work and talking to their parents and shooting little videos. Like, all that goes away if you do what some districts have done. So, so again, it will be self-reported data, but I trust the self-reported data from our teachers because they don't have a reason to not self-report correctly. You'll be able to take it for what that's worth, but I do trust the group that they would tell us, yeah, this is what I do with devices. So I feel good about that, especially across an aggregate too. If we got all 600, if there's a few outliers, it would level out into the median as well.
Just to be clear too, are we just looking at iPads, or are we also looking at TV screens, instruction, like if a teacher's got a video playing, because this is how the letter sound of A, would that count as screen time?
You know, I haven't dug into that yet. That's a good, we could add that because
a lot of teachers use this for instructional tools.
Yeah.
Is another screen.
Yeah. Yes. A lot of times it's because it's the most advanced way for them to accomplish that, rather than, like, I remember I taught kindergarten. I sang songs. It was interesting.
Yeah.
It was not my favorite year of teaching, but however, it's like, oh gosh, if I would have had a video, I would have had this a long time ago. We had tapes, so it's an interesting concept. I don't know how that reflects as much, but again, I'll have to dig into the studies. But
I think it's part of the total screen time.
Yeah.
And what I've heard from parents is if it's cleanup time, and I remember a cleanup song that we all sang as we picked up our toys, but if you've got a screen and it's Bluey singing cleanup time, everybody's staring at the screen.
Oh, interesting.
So it does change the dynamics of a classroom because of the expectations that come with screens. So, not a critique, but just part of the total picture.
Yeah. So if the board is good on September, if you know it was originally August, right? But if you're okay with September,
We're good with September.
okay, September, all right.
Okay, so we'll look forward to that. Anything else? I would ask that I've learned from other districts looking for board policy references. Many link their administrative regulations with their board policies. And so when we're examining an board policy, we have the option to look at administrative regulations. That's not something that's normally available to us. I would love it if they were connected going forward. Not asking you to backlog all of the previous policies, but as we update and revise them, if we even just to have a hyperlink between the two, I think that helps create transparency, and it helps ensure that when we said, well, what about this and this and this, if it's in the ARs, we can make sure that we're seeing the details as well as the big picture.
I have one question on that. If we were to do that, would we as a board then would we have input on rewriting the AR?
I don't think so. That's not our.
Because that's not right.
No, I think it's
And is
more.
that something that we want to publish to is that something that's a public document? Is an AR a public document? Because
Typically, yes. ARs and BPs should be public. We just have not had it. Gretchen's shaking her head, yes. If you would like to chime in,
Yeah.
different perspective.
No, that's correct. Yeah, typically BPs and ARs are both available in the same location, so we can definitely work on that.
Again, I don't think it should be somebody's job to do that for hours and hours, but as we move forward and revise new policies, I'd like to see that added. For me, it just helps, like when we say, okay, you don't need to bring that detail here, it's in the ARs, then I can go back and say, oh, yep, you're right, or this was the way we talked about it. Is it, not our job to develop those, but it helps us know how they're being implemented. Thanks. Okay, so with that, I believe we are done. So I will call this meeting closed at 8, is it 18? It's hard to see. 8:18, we are done. And our next board meeting is Tuesday, August 18. We'll see you then.